Assalamu alaikum. Today is the 21st of the June, and this is Advocate Gulrez King. And last night I was in my room again, and I intend to understand that which are the basic issues again. That the humanitarian negligence. These are my favorite topics these days because I involuntarily become the part of the same and voluntarily have to execute the same. And the Republicans and the Middle East and the valuations of the coast negated individuals in the residency of the Pakistan. Throughout your extension of the life, what you expect is the constructive negations of your coast effective life. But there are two parts which we should understand are the cost effective life and the cost negative one. When we just apply the cost effective life with the cost negated one, the result will be the cost negations children. Yes, I observe these factors by myself. Yes. So when I just apply the multiple and multiply those issues by the uh, Dowry cases in the Pakistan, those Dowry come criminal motivated marriages, and after having the no reciprocal incomes and expenses in the pockets of the same, it becomes obligatory in the Supreme Judicial Council of the Pakistan and in the reciprocating area of the subdivisional areas of the Lahore, especially that the collective minus activities of the same subjected individuals always become the part of the same. As I observed that the rules and the regulations by the Republicans in the subjected legal reforms channels is not becoming the operative part of the same as per my constitutional obligations by myself. When I just apply the negations of the practical sanctions of the humans, they negate to their self. They don't like to do the things and they have to do the things. Despite of the disparity of the organs, I just said that disparity of the organs. So when I just observe these factors that the females after being manipulated by one man always try to have the issues through the other men. And when I just observe the cases of the Darul Iman by myself near my residential premises as to observations to the public exposure by myself, that which are the prime sectors which led the females into the Darul Iman, and why such groups of the females are and were charged in the Darul Iman chart flows because of their parental neglections, and those parental neglected individuals are suffering from the permanent disorders of the low economy. And when I just apply the constructive obligations that the Republicans, 97% these days, are apparently rejecting the marital come scientific approved transactions through the same, they are not in the positions. They observe that the central legislature of the Pakistan, Gulrez King, is worried about their destinations. That why the Republicans in the Pakistan are not worried about their self, why they are in their houses and in their markets, and why they are suffering from the dirt in the Lahore city. The secondary issue which I found throughout my practice of the law in the central area of the Lahore, that the Sabzazar and the other reciprocating area like the Sadpur division, Dubanpura division, and the other Margazar colony. All of these colonies are built lawfully. But the problem with the laws are opposite in the practical sanctions of the online transactions of the e-filing of the documentations. And when I just cross study those issues by myself, then I just come with the conclusion that the non-reformed or unreformed individuals resident in the reciprocating area of their families and having marital disorders in the areas of the other divisions and subdivisions like the areas of the choices of their free wills, and after saying that they were not provided the right from the first party, likewise their parents. This is the exclusive crime in the Pakistan which I just suffer every day. I every day have to see such ignorant individuals in the public alleys that their females, after being negligent, after being manipulated in the name and in the pretext of the marital discoveries in the educational bias. Marital discoveries in the educational bias is a new crime which I just observed by myself. That the marital discovery in the educational bias in the Pakistan is raising 98%. 98% females are profound in the habitual post negations to their bodies during the education of the same and after executing their all principal activities. Such groups of the females are found to have the perfect males. This is my claim. And those males are not willing to have any relationship with the same subject of civil manipulations to the same sexual intercourses. And after the parents know the fact of the sexual extreme, deferred, and inclined positions, they will be surprised by the facts that they always file the section 160, uh, mostly females during their lust ingredient in the Republic of the Pakistan, because the Pakistani females have and had not learned how to observe the moderate neutrality or impartiality during the public place. This is my open claim. And after exposure to the seduction in the public sector, I said exposure to the seduction, that is a Pakistan Penal Code PPC 1860 section. They claim that these females were not provided the right in the cities. So if these females were not provided the right, then who is the person who is providing them the right? Yes. Yeah, they might be, there is no machine. Yes, the computer is not that technical. So reciprocating area of the men dominance and artificial men dominance is a secondary and third issue of the Republicans these days. The global issues, the fiscal deferred transactions, and the non-observations of the rules and the laws of the official mandate in the Pakistan raising day by day, because the 99% of them are not worried about the salaries expenses, because they know that they have to generate the same and they don't have the reciprocal output charge. Yes, so the teamwork in the Pakistan is not in the positions to observe themselves. They are not in the positions to listen to anyone. 90% of the Republicans. They are in the positions to dictate their surrounding, and that is why I'm not willing to listen to them. That is why I'm just speaking myself. Whether the individuals are worried about their destinations outside their houses, they are worried about their bread and butter, they are worried about their children, but why they are worried about their children is a question mark. Why there are children getting education in the bias transactions after being manipulated in the name of the sexual outcomes output charts, and they say that there is a price hike. So I repel to the Republicans via Article 100 of the Constitution the power of the Attorney General of the Pakistan, that if the Pakistanis are not worried about and were not worried about the sexual performance of their females during the times of the reproduction, who is the person was providing them the right to file their issues in the females? Yes. So they claim that they are very religious. They claim that they're very religious. They claim it. Might be. That is a personal act of anyone. I'm not into the habit of considering those issues by myself. I'm into the habit of considering my issues by myself now and then and from the past. So when I just understood that the Republicans are not in the reformative methods to understand their issues, they are in the issues to want to have the sections of the no elements in their lives. They become so much negligent observations in their lives that they are in the positions to have the eyes over the properties of the others. They are cursed with this operative clause, because they thought that by having the eye of the other property, the other person is blind by the fact that they having the eyes. But the other person is not blind. He is also, and she is also very fine with the laws. So my question is in the favor of the Republicans, that why they are not getting the positions in the IMF? Why they are saying that the Pakistani, there is no one single Pakistani, I always contest it, that who is willing to understand the IMF issues, who is willing to have the position in the IMF, who is willing to work in the IMF. Yes, the Pakistanis are not in the positions. They are in the position of social media, culture observations. They are in the observations points of the mobile holding in their hands. Their parents are so much negligent and under the poverty lines that when a children cry, they just hold the mobile in the hand of the same. Yes, I observe these factors. And after raising that point that you were not provide the right and the mobile is providing the right. So what a claim. Nicely. They demand from their children. And those children are portraying in the public sectors to be very innocent. Alas. I'm always surprised by these facts of the Republicans, and when I just observe the urban individuals in the Pakistan, I'm surprised by another fact that the graveyard issue in the Pakistan, the especially the cities of the Lahore are fulfilled with the graveyards, and because of the 3 to 4 years. Coast negation graves in the Pakistans, and those graveyards have no proper Gorkhan, and those Gorkhans are there to have the original income by themselves. So you claim that if a country is not having uh, the graveyards in the perfection, then who is the person who is going to understand the graveyard issues in the Pakistan? The baseline issue of the Pakistan, which I observed by myself, that the graveyards are not in the positions, the medical students, the medical practitioners are not in the positions to observe the clinical studies during their observations, practice of the law as per my observations via Article 100 of the Bar of the Attorney General of the Constitution 1973, that if the females of the Pakistans who are trying to become the medical practitioner for the welfare of the mankind are not itself in the positions to observe the hunger strikes of their family inside their homes, and in order to celebrate those issues outside the official mandate, what is going to be happen is the output uh, black income's origination through the same clientage. This is my factual observations regarding the Republicans and the defection of their social cum civil manipulated individuals, subordinate residency as well. So I observe through this judgment, which I'm declaring today, by the uh, by the Kanun Shahadat Article 128, that I said that I'm a constitutional lawyer, so I do not need to read the statute now. Thereby, which I could to understand that the females and the males, both sectors are found in the hostels, and they just manipulate the times of their surrounding, and they do not know the value of the marriage. They do not know the marriage value of the divorce. When I ask them define me the definition of the marriage according to Islam, they are not in the position. And I'm surprised by those facts that if they are not celebrated with the marriage definition, then how they are going to consummate a moderate family. Yes. If those children are being born under the name of the pretext of the negated marriages through the incomes of some other person and expenses of the third person, thereafter, the explicit husband of the female will be found as to creating multiple disorder individuals in Pakistan as per my findings. And they say that fight for your right while beating around the bush and trying to beat the odds of the others. I'm always surprised by observing their extreme negligence. 90% of the Pakistanis that they are not in the positions, physically disadvantaged and medically non optimized by the laws, and publicly defaming the institution of the Pakistan. I observe these factors. They raise the burden of proof to the guilt of their own souls, to their self that they were not provided the right, but they want to have the right. This could not be understood by either side of the Republican of the moderate lines from the immoral lines. That the immoral lines were providing the right to the moral ones. This is not going to understood by anyone. When you were not providing the right to anyone, then why you are confronting with the right of the other side is a question, judicial landmark, outstanding one. I observe these factors by myself within the Supreme Judicial Council, within the High Courts, within the other reciprocating area, that the rebuilding of the sexual organs in the Pakistan is the most calculated offense, which is always in the offensive attitude of the Pakistan, despite of providing the rights to the females. The females want the rights because these females do not want the right from the same. These females want to snatch the rights. These females become, I always said that that is a bad word, but I have to be very cautious in order to be very selective with myself. That is my obligations to reform the Republicans under the Constitution of 1973, as far as I seek no shelter from the same, in fact, there. Well, I, I always consider these issues by myself that the females of the Pakistans under the multipolar defected marriages are trying to beat the odds with their negated, coast-negated individuals in the Pakistan, and those individuals are not in the positions to observe their humanitarian observations in the bylaws as well. Those ordinances which are applicable in Pakistan are still applied because the acts could not perform any function in the Pakistan because the Pakistanis are not the parliamentary type of individual. I found this. So today, it is also profound that the parliamentary system in the Pakistan could not be performed by the Republicans. They are not in the habitual observations of the parliamentary system in the Pakistan, and they are in the habitual system of negating the National Assembly of the Pakistan. And after negating the National Assembly of the Pakistan and Parliament of the Pakistan, what they expect is to be confronted with the Senate as well. And after that, they become the part of the judicial organs, which the judicial organs are not willing to understand them. And there are a lot of individuals holding dual nationalities in the Pakistan and are also part of the National Assembly and the Parliament and the Senate. I salute negatively that they have to feel a bit embarrassed while raising the questions in the public sector, while raising the so many dual nationalities, and while raising that the Akama culture, while the other things they are holding in their backs, and they say that we were not working outside the Pakistan, but we are working in the Pakistan, and we are in the politics, and they are still happy while in front of the media channels that they were providing the right to the republic. They are shaped, valued in every sector of their life. They are not morally fit and compliance with they have with the laws, even with the bylaws. And after that, they confront with every sector of the life under the marital discoveries. So stay blessed, take care. It's Advocate Huleski.